And then a couple things. I think we're fairly healthy, which is a good thing. We're obviously nearing the end of camp. The guys are back in their residences, whether it's the residence hall, dorm, apartments, homes, that type of thing. So they're getting some exposure to real life out there, which is a good thing. And things have picked up here about the last 7 days with people moving into campus. So a little bit more busy around here. Football-wise, just pleased overall with the camp. I think it was a really good preseason, productive. We're really pretty healthy right now. Don't anticipate anything at this point, affecting us for preparation for the first game. And then, basically last night was our last full night of full camp mode, if you will. And we'll start to do a little bit of opponent work here the next tonight and today, or tomorrow, excuse me. And we'll break a little bit and be back in here Sunday and get into a normal game routine. So, it's been good. It's just everything's got its time, its rhythm. I think the guys worked hard and got a lot accomplished. Still a lot of variables, a lot of things to resolve and what have you, and that's what the next 8-9 days will be for. So look forward to that as well. And I'll throw it out for questions.
As healthy as you are, is that unusual right now?
Yeah, a lot of it's luck, quite frankly, and I think the guys done a good job training. They came into camp in really good shape, and probably we had less soft tissue stuff than normal coming into camp. So that was positive, and we've been able to maintain it for the most part. And probably the biggest, Will Nolan had surgery a year ago or this past spring, and we anticipate him not being ready. He's probably still 3-4 weeks away, but everybody else should be able to work, hopefully, and we get going.
Kirk, it's a two-part question. One is Kamari Moulton back in practice, TJ
Yes.
back in practice.
Yep, they're both back.
As well.
Yep.
And then have you settled in on left tackle, or is that still kind of open?
No, they're still going back and forth, and both doing a good job. That's the good news is both have really improved a lot. And Belzer might be as improved as anybody on our team. He's one of the most. And the other guy's Ty. This is our backup punter, which is not a big news story, obviously, but I've complimented him. I mean, he's just really done such a great job. He's worked hard at it. So that's a fun part, watching guys that are improving. Maybe that a year ago or 2 years ago weren't probably in the mix at all, or even realistically in the 2 deep. But now they're moving up, and I think we've got a lot of that going on our roster.
So is Bryce George then keeping inside at this point?
He's worked both. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's worked both. Probably more inside recently, and he's getting comfortable still. Mm-hmm. But he's going to play this year. I'd be really surprised if he didn't. And go back a couple years ago, it's easy to make a comparative with him and Rusty Fev. As the year went on, Rusty got more and more comfortable and played a little quicker and more decisive. And I think Bryce has probably got that potential. But he's done a good job.
Now that this fall camp is over, does this team kind of remind you of a previous team? And if so, what would that be?
Yeah, not yet. Other than I mentioned earlier, about 08 being similar in some ways, in that a lot of stories developing as you go along. And I think we're probably looking at that a little bit right now. I think we'll know a lot more certainly after September goes through. So. We've done a weekend in camp, and hopefully the next week we'll handle that well. And then once you get into game competition, you start learning even more about the team. And with a bunch of young players that haven't played, I think that's probably more realistic at that point.
Iowa State's playing in Ireland this weekend. Nebraska Northwestern played that game 2 years ago. Michigan's playing in Germany next year. Would you ever have any interest in having your team play overseas?
In a short word, no. Quite frankly. And then certainly not if we had to come back and play the next week. I've done that, going to Hawaii. It's not a foreign country, but it might as well be. As far as distance, we did it when I was at Maine via, I think we flew out of Portland to Boston, to Atlanta, to Dallas. I mean, it was the longest trip in the history of college football. And we came back and actually won the next week. So I think it was our first one of the season, my first year there. But it's a lot of wear and tear on the team, especially on the return part of it. So. Me personally, the regular season, I'd rather be playing closer to home than further, and that's what bowl games are for.
Kirk, when it comes to Mark Gronowski, you've talked about him kind of slimming the gap a little bit as far as throws and stuff. I guess now that you've seen him throughout the last couple of weeks, I mean, where do you kind of feel like he's at now? And obviously he had some fumble issues during.
Yeah, no, he's continued to feel more comfortable, and I don't want to say grow. Yeah, I guess grow is a fair word. He wasn't out there in the spring, as we all know, so that put him behind a little bit. But I think he's gaining more comfort. And he's already a pretty confident guy, but he's gaining more comfort. And I could say the same thing about Hank. He's done a really good job too. And the fact that he was here in the spring, I think that shows a little bit. He's a little bit more, probably a little smoother with everything. But both those guys have really, I think, done a good job. Jeremy's a little bit behind. Talked about, Bryce being kind of the same thing. It's a little bit of a gap there, but seeing a lot of good things with him. And so the whole group's really doing better than maybe we would have anticipated. And once we start playing games, hopefully we'll see that accelerate even more.
Mark's had to go through a transition from the level he's been.
Sure.
He was really good before, but it is a different level. And then not practicing in the spring, having a shoulder, is just catching up to the speed of the chemistry with the receivers, because I'm sure your group of receivers are faster by and large than what he probably experienced.
Yeah, I think the level gap is not maybe as pronounced as maybe people might think. I think the biggest thing has been him not being out there in the spring, but he did have June, July to, he just run the ball in June, so I think that's been helpful to him. And then, that's where each day is really important. You see him improve and be more confident, what have you. And, it's not like we're the most established group at receiver either, although we made good strides. But yes, there's still a filling out process, and that'll probably go on for a while, as we get going here in the season.
At corner, has anyone really feel like kind of separated themselves in terms of that group?
No, it's still probably the 1, 2, 3 are pretty all muddled in. They're pretty good. TJ missed some time with an injury. I think he was out, wasn't he, during the open day? But he's back healthy now, so I think it's still those three guys, and then we're going from there. But the whole group's improving.
3 in terms of Deshaun, and who's the third?
Jalen being the third guy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, number 3, coincidentally. Yeah. So, yeah.
Has Barrows showed you anything coming in?
He has, yeah. He's talking about new guys, right? He's the same way. He's getting more comfortable and certainly better this past week than first week, So I think he's playing a little freer and a little faster, and he's an older guy, physical guy, and pretty aggressive.
Kirk, we know when you get in season, you're very big picture oriented, but you're kind of focused on task at hand, I guess. Would you ever consider hiring, like an analyst maybe mid-season, or is it right when the season gets going, like you're just really locked in with the day-by-day process and everything?
For me, an analyst for me, analyze me a little bit. Yeah, no. I mean, our staff's in great shape. I'd prefer to get all that settled. And I really don't. We've had visitors in and out of camp, and that part I really value. It's great to have outside voices. I always welcome what other people see when they come in and watch, and those types of things. But the football part, I think we got that covered, good, bad, or indifferent. I think we got that covered, and it's kind of like a team. You don't want to. I don't think be disrupting things. Like, we got our guys and feel really good about the staff. We just hired Delana Cotton. She's not exactly going to be involved in third downs or anything like that, but that was our last piece of the puzzle, if you will, and we're thrilled to get her back. She's been here as a student assistant, worked over in Jardine as an academic, helper there, and it's really good there. So I think, we're all set to go.
At linebacker, would you say Jaden and Carson are kind of?
Yeah, I think right now, certainly. And anxious to see how they play. Got every reason to think they'll play well. They've really practiced well, and both seniors, they know the drill, certainly, and feel really comfortable. So, they're playing their best football, and it's good to see. That's what you hope with all of our guys. And the young guys are really elevating. So, I think we're going to be okay there.
Do you ever have too much analysis? Do you ever worry about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why we have a relatively small group, if you will. The biggest difference right now is what used to be a GA is now an analyst, I think. Is that how we're listing all those guys? Mm-hmm. So, it's just the rules are different a little bit. Technically, our custodians can go out. Doug, who's an all-American, he's been here 20 years, and cares still invest in our program. And if we wanted him, we could have him coach the kickers, which right now is not a bad job with Drew there. But we really haven't changed much. I don't think, Keller left and Billy came in. So, I think we've added one person in terms of numbers. We've got new faces, but one person compared to last year at this time. And I think as college stands go, we're probably on the lean side. I prefer it that way. I think I always worry about mixed messaging, kind of like parents. Sometimes kids know how to play each other, parents off each other, and I think it's better if you have more consistency with fewer voices. Gives you a chance there.
3 more questions.
You mentioned the younger guys at linebacker who are starting to elevate. Is
Yeah.
that like Weisskopf and Reese? Anybody else that's really elevated?
Yeah, all three of those guys in that class have really done a good job. You know, you guys throw Buffington in there too. And again, they're, you know, last year they were on scout team and they're trying to figure out what's going on, but now you're 20 days into it where those guys have a lot more experience, and spring was good for them for exposure wise. Now you're starting to see those guys starting to show up a little bit the way you would think they might. And you know, you also got guys like DeLong, Montgomery, you know, a lot of guys have done a really good job. Rex Roth we've talked about. So and Landon also is another guy who's done a really good job paying key cricks. So I think it's overall it's a pretty healthy group. We don't have game production with the group, but we have guys that I think that are capable.
Is Terrell Washington back? Is he Terrell?
TJ? Or-
Well, I was confused when you would
Yeah.
say TJ. Is it TJ Hall or
No, I'm
TJ
sorry. Oh, okay,
Washington?
I'm sorry.
I was just
both
trying to
TJ,
clarify.
for that to that point. Both TJs are
Both
back.
TJs. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I just
both-
wanted to clarify.
Yeah, Terrell is TJ. His
Okay.
dad's Terrell. But
Okay, I was thinking TJ
I was gonna
Watt,
say,
yeah.
no, he's not back.
Okay.
He played defensive end.
Okay.
But yeah, both TJs are back. And coincidentally, I hadn't thought of it that way. Both TJs were out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
so,
you.
But he is back. Yeah, he's been back this week. Today's Thursday, and he looks good. He's practicing really well.
Kirk, you have by far the most difficult home schedule in the Big Ten, and one probably second or third most difficult across the board. And I look at,
I'm not laughing at you, but anyway, yeah.
but I'm looking at the Big Ten at large, the teams that have been added
Yeah.
recently. You're 18 teams deep. What's the advantage of playing in the Big Ten, where your access at this very moment is pretty limited to get to the tournament versus maybe a Big 12? I mean, in general terms, what's the advantage of playing in the Big Ten when you have that kind of a...
Well, I mean, it's a great conference. It's always been a great conference. It's always been competitive. You know, go back 20. I mentioned earlier. I mentioned in Las Vegas that I was here when it was 10 teams. So I remember those days too. But you know, it's always been competitive. It's always been tough. We've never really started out in lane one. You know, never have. But we've been able to get there, finish there. So you know, you just know you're going to play 12 games. They're all going to be tough. And people might say our opener's not tough. Well, you know, we had a pretty good team in 09, and you know, that was a miracle win. Not even a, you know, and that don't count on that happening again. But if you don't look at every game the right way, that's what could happen to you. You can end up in a bad way. So, you know, right now I hear our schedule's tough, but you know, realistically, I don't think anybody knows in August what it's going to look like, and we certainly don't know what it's going to look like in October, November. So, you know, you just take it a week at a time. Cliches, but cliches are true for a reason. And, you know, we just got to try to do our best. The thing we have to worry about is our growth and our improvement. And if we do that, historically, we've done okay. When we don't grow, we don't improve. That's where things, injuries you can't do anything about, you know. And then what you don't know is what the other teams are going to have. You know, how it's going to mesh out for them, chemistry-wise, injury-wise, all those types of things. And I think it's more true in today's world just because of all the, you know, everybody's jumping around. And even if you, I took a break this week and looked at Major League standings. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Milwaukee won their 14th straight or 17th straight, something like that. That headline caught my eye. So I was like, okay, interesting. So I went to, you know, that little thing where the baseball standings. 3 top teams, if I think of them correct: Milwaukee, Detroit, and who's the other one there? None of them are, it's not Detroit, or excuse me, not LA.
Toronto's been up there.
Who's the third one?
Toronto's been up there.
Yeah, Toronto, okay. But none of them were a big market. It wasn't New York and it wasn't LA. It's like, how'd that happen? So, but it must be good scouting, good coaching, good player development, I'm guessing. And I'm sure they went out and got the right free agents. But so, yeah, I mean, the point is, like, you know, you just never know. And baseball's got a, in my opinion, like compared to the NFL, they got a screwed up system. But even now, it's ain't the Dodgers and Yankees. Maybe in October or November, whenever they finish. But yeah, so you just worry about playing and getting better. That's all you can do.
Okay.